I got an orange.
And we are live. You are
Hey,
looking live. You remember Brett Musburger? I always liked Brent Musburger mainly because his first name was Brent. But in the 70s and 80s when he would he did all the major football games for NFL games for CBS.
uh-huh.
And he would do you would start panning to the stadium that the game was going to be played at. And I always got excited because when the Rams they were playing at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, and he would always say, "You are looking live at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, as our game of the week will be the Los Angeles Rams versus whoever sorry suckers we had to play that week." Anyway, I just, I
Okay,
had a
I'm just
flashback.
gonna eat my
I
orange.
had a flashback. All right. Well,
Uh-huh.
while you're eating and chewing, this is watching Amazon, and you are
The bold one, the cold one, John Colder Ice Lawson.
the full one.
The fool.
I said full, but
Oh,
I'm Brent Leary.
he's Brent Leary.
And so we are starting something. We're going to try to make a usual weekly habit, which is watching Amazon every Wednesday while we're sheltering in place, at least every Wednesday, 1 p.m. East Coast time.
Also,
so we're glad to be starting it off at 1:15.
Well,
got a little late start. Little late start.
We started setting up at 1.
Yeah, that's right. But yes, for the foreseeable future, every Wednesday, 1 p.m. East Coast time, watching Amazon with the bold one, the cold one, John Colder Ice Lawson, and me, Brent Leary.
This is the best freaking orange ever.
And so much for that build-up. All right.
It really is, I swear.
I'm really glad that you're having a great orange.
Okay, go ahead. What are we talking about today?
All right. Well,
what's the story for today?
It's so funny. Well, not necessarily funny because everything is rotating around what everything. It's all things COVID-19. Let's face it.
I know.
But when our last conversation, we did talk about pretty significantly about the situation at the fulfillment centers and how people may want to go out on strike if they don't have these things, or if it should be shut down because police places need a good scrubbing because the COVID cases are picking up and workers are rightfully so worried about it. And I think we maybe touched on the fact that there had been a story that came out that the folks that work at Instacart were going to walk out.
The same day that the Amazon people walked out.
Yeah, so the announcement was Instacart first, and then Amazon, and then we talked about that article that said, well, should Amazon shut down? And then we got into it a bit. And one of the things that you said, one of the things you said, I'm going to give you the credit. One of the things you said should happen is that Amazon should make people get their temperature taken before they go in to work. I wasn't against it. I just was saying you can't treat it like you did in China, which would basically make you do it whether you worked or not. You're going to get your temperature taken.
Okay.
So right after that, an article did come out and said Amazon is going to make people get their temperature taken before they work. I think that was a good thing. Good move. All right. But that didn't stop it. That didn't stop.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Wait a minute. That did not stop the folks from threatening to go out on strike. A matter of fact, Staten Island, I think, were the first Amazon-related folks that were going to walk out. And I think there was a walkout.
There was.
But
they walked across the street.
Well, yeah. It didn't seem like it was a huge amount, but it was enough people that walked out. But here's the thing with the Staten Island walkout. the guy who organized the walkout apparently got fired.
Bye.
Which we got to talk about that. But then today, another article came out that says the folks in Michigan, I guess some kind of a Detroit fulfillment center, they are planning to walk out.
Yeah.
So let's take this to the next level. Because right now, I don't know how many fulfillment centers Amazon has, but they've got a lot of them. And they're all, there's no union. So they're all kind of operating, like these strikes are popping up just locally. They're not coordinated. They don't seem like it. But you have to think, if they keep happening, that puts a lot of pressure on Amazon and all these things are in the headlines, like, all right, New York and now Detroit, and what if LA or what if Atlanta, and this keeps happening, this keeps popping up, and they're just localized. That makes Amazon be in the spotlight for just an extended amount of time, reacting to each of these local fulfillment center potential walkout.
Yeah, well, they have 175 globally.
All right, so they have 175 globally. Let's just think about what happens here, because we all know things happen here because of our country's history of protests and forming unions and kind of coming together to help the individual worker, right? So with all of this going on, and with all the pressure that Amazon is facing to make sure that they really have good, healthy work conditions, can you see this pushing Amazon to have to unionize if continually outbreaks of potential threat strikes? And let's face it, these are now considered essential workers to make sure people get the stuff they need. Because if you don't do that, then they're going to force people to go out of their houses and have to congregate. So if these strikes keep happening and they keep popping up and they keep forcing even more of people's attention on the conditions that are going on in these fulfillment centers, is this the possibility that a union could be formed and can force Amazon to unionize all these hundreds of thousands of people that work in these multiple different locations across, the country, and if not across the world?
Man, that took you 5 minutes to ask me that question.
I wanted to set it up because I might not get another chance to talk after you start.
No, I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. I think Amazon should nip this in the bud. They fired the guy that made all the noise, which was.
Well, what was the rationale for firing him? Was he wasn't doing the social distancing or stuff or something like that?
I mean, whatever they came up with, they were going to come up with a reason that sounded right. But more than anything, I thought they could have handled that a little bit better. They didn't need to fire the guy.
But that's what I'm saying. So by firing the guy, didn't that? And there was I think the New York mayor once they're looking into it. Looking into it. So doesn't that add even more pressure and exposure as these strikes proliferate?
Yeah, I'm like, dude, you could wait it a week. Just wait a week before you fire him. I mean, put them on a leave of absence.
Put them on a leave of absence
for a leave of absence, anything, But to fire him the next day, that's so stupid when everybody's watching. The whole world's watching what Amazon's going to do. Like I said, man, they're a little off right now. They're just off. So,
but I mean, I'm just. Thinking,
no, I don't think there's going to be, to answer your question, I don't think there's going to be. I think they're going to need to come up with some better practices for in-house workers, because, like you said, they are critical to the operations of the entity in general, even good time or bad time. I mean, they need those workers. There's been other issues with workers before, but they never got as much attention because of this COVID-19, thing. So I think Amazon could address this and should address it, company wide, make some statements to the press on how they're handling it. Because more than anything, I think the way people perceive them and perceive their packages is being affected by workers saying, "Hey, we have people walking around here with COVID-19 just spreading it. That's not good," So
I think that if they keep mishandling situations like this, firing the dude, that just brings unnecessary eyeballs and more pressure on them. And then as these strikes proliferate, because let's face it, we're still not at the apex. I guess that's the kind of the word of the day of this. So I mean, everywhere you look at the geographies that are blowing up right now, they're all spread out. I mean, we all know about New York and California and Washington State. But have you looked at what's going on in Michigan and what's going on in Florida and what's going on in Louisiana?
Me? Have I looked?
New Jersey's got over 18,000 cases right now. Yes. I mean, it's all over.
All over.
And if those issues pop up in these different places, and if these strikes or potential walkouts, I mean, people, I think, get a little nervous. As a consumer, as somebody who's sheltering in place, you get a little nervous when you hear about walkouts, which means I might not be getting my stuff. And that's not what we need right now. And if Amazon I think they've got to think about that, the overall, the way that this whole thing has just interrupted and put so much fear and doubt and uncertainty into our minds that when we see, cases blowing up, in Michigan, and then all of a sudden the Detroit fulfillment center Amazon has, people are getting ready to do a walkout right now at this particular time. That's not good. That's not a good look for Amazon, first and foremost.
Not at all. It is what it is, though. I don't know what public relations is doing. They must have laid those guys off. You know what? And it's kind of weird. Amazon, if you think about it, Amazon was probably one of the first several of the first cities that were dealing with lockdowns and people working from home, right? Because Seattle was way ahead. Well, I mean, a week ahead, but way ahead of everybody in terms of what they had to do in that city, because that was the first, known outbreak. And just to me, they seem to just not they seem to be very reactionary instead of proactive, which is an odd position for Amazon. They are usually, the proactive guys. You just think about all the other things. I mean, just think about what happened with their CEO and the press, right? You remember the bad story? He went ahead and said, you know what? I'm just going to put it all out there. Here's how they were trying to, blackmail me. And he blew that whole thing up. It was very proactive and it worked in their favor. I don't know why they're not taking that sort of position now, where it would be so good to get in front of this thing instead of reacting to it. How come you let people walk out in Jersey and don't realize that they might be a domino effect of that, And you do, like you said, we've got cases all over the country. They've got warehouses all over the country in little places. They need to seriously, for public relations, get out in front of this thing.
And maybe it's a fact that, they thought that they had got in front of it. Remember the announcement of the 100,000 new workers and the $2 increase in salary, and, doing the thing with, the non-essential, moving the non-essential stuff, not to be able to come in and focusing on the essential. So maybe they thought they had gotten out ahead of this, but like everything else that's going on with the situation, you can't get everything right, or you can't anticipate everything, and you can't anticipate the spread of this thing and the spread of it within your own fulfillment centers in the way that, health concerns are driving what I think are what's driving these folks, because people are scared, man. I mean, you don't know what this means or what this is going to do for you individually, or if you happen to bring it home to somebody and they get it, and now, so I think it's a lot of fear and uncertainty that's driving what these folks are talking about, and you can't dismiss that. If this was about money, that's one thing, but this
is about people.
Yeah, it's about people and health and the uncertainty and the scaredness and the you're in there and you're moving around, and there's absolutely no way that you can shelter in place when you're in a warehouse moving a whole bunch of stuff around with a whole bunch of other people and people are getting sick. That's something you can't give a short shift to. You got to really handle that.
All right, what do you got next? Because they're not going to do it.
So there's no way.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think this is a different ball game. I think this is a different ball game because.
So you think this will not just blow over?
If they handle it the way that they handled the first one, no. I mean, by firing the person who organized the walkout, that's not the way to handle this thing.
Right,
no.
Right. And I'm sure he's going to be on some news channels.
Oh, know it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, if he seems to be one of those kinds, like he was organizing. So that might not be the end all. And like you said, the New York Attorney General is actually looking into the case. So, which is really weird because you already had their little New York versus Amazon thing, right?
You think AOC is going to be looking into this?
Right? This could be like, gotcha. This could be a gotcha.
You know what? Of all the things that we talked about in the past about what may bring Amazon down a peg or two, or, really focus bad light on them, this could be it, because we're talking about people's health. We're talking about a lot of people involved, and we're talking about a lot of uncertainty. And if for whatever reason, if delivery does get affected and people can't get the things they need without leaving the house, but
it's already been affected, hasn't it?
Yeah,
it hasn't been getting better.
Yeah, but I think, like everyone else, the scale of what's happened has definitely, caused Amazon to not fire on everything they do, like they usually do. Right. But that's everybody. That's everything. But what's different here is when the workers start striking because of health concerns, not because of money, because of health concerns. That's different.
Right.
This isn't about greed. This is about, my God, I'm working in here. I'm seeing on the news these numbers skyrocketing. And then I start seeing in other Amazon fulfillment centers, people start getting sick. That's a legitimate concern.
Yeah, it is. So. It is. Absolutely. They've got to do something. What are they going to do? I don't know, but they need to do it this week, honestly.
Yeah, they got to nip it in the bud, particularly because of what happened with the guy being fired. I mean, that just, to me, even if it was legitimate reasons to fire the guy, this not the time to do it. Put him on a leave, put him on a paid leave, and then once things die down, quietly, all right, you're gone. I mean, if it was a legitimate reason for it, like if he had got the virus and didn't tell nobody until it somehow got out and he had infected people. All right, that's an obvious fire, but that's who knows.
And I mean, everybody picked this story up.
anything right now that is negative for Amazon is going to get picked up.
Anyway,
let's just face it. Yeah, anything. So
somewhat. I mean, we've had stories about warehouse workers go completely unnoticed.
But it's Amazon. I mean, yeah, but I think now with the current environment, everybody is at home or should be at home. Should be at home. And watching everything that's going on around this, not too many things are going to go unnoticed or unchecked. So this needs to be handled the right way, like you're saying, and quickly, because if it's not, then it just keeps, things keep happening. Something's gonna
give. Okay. What's your other one?
All right. Well, let me go to the wall here.
To the wall.
Yeah, going to the wall. All right. Because quite honestly, here's one I would love to find out. We always talk about AWS and things like that. So there was an article that came out, I think at the end of last week, and it talked about how Microsoft's cloud computing services, get this, the usage increase from last month to this month, or this last, March, once before COVID broke out to after COVID broke out, that's the month. Do you want to take a guess as to how much usage increase happened?
And this is it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to say.
This is Microsoft Azure cloud services.
Yeah, I'm going to say 100x.
You're not even in the ballpark.
Really?
It says Microsoft says it has seen, get this, a 775% increase of its cloud services in regions that have enforced social distancing or sheltering in place orders.
That's crazy. 700 plus.
775%. Now, I bring that up because I want to know what AWS has done in comparison to that, because that's an astounding number.
What, in terms of Amazon's? Yeah, because all we need to know is how much, Netflix alone.
Well, yeah, they've increased. I saw something. Well, it's not only Netflix, it's Skype. I saw Skype numbers increase dramatically. Zoom. I think I saw the numbers. Yeah, well, Zoom is just, everybody's talking about Zoom. And then there was an article that talked about how YouTube was going to throttle back.
Yep.
Because of all of the bandwidth being consumed. Yeah. Well, they did it slickly. Like they changed the default settings. Yeah. So you could go and change them if you know, but
I mean, who needs that? I used to wonder why they did that anyway.
Yeah. But I just would love to know, because we talked about the last time, what is the quarter gonna look like for Amazon? So the quarter just ended, right? The first quarter just ended. So I'm guessing all these companies are keeping to their usual earnings announcement schedules. But just how important is AWS going to be now? It was already pretty important. It could be significantly more important this quarter than ever before.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting when they actually do. And we see, where the revenue is. If we see any fall off, I don't see how there could be any fall off.
There's no way I could think of seeing a fall off, especially when you hear that number. I mean, that's a staggering number, 775% increase. Amazon has got to figure they're in the same ballpark. It might not be the net. Yeah, but that's astounding. And if that's the case, how much revenue and earnings? Because remember, AWS revenue is really higher margin earnings than all the stuff they do on the retail side. So would you be like shocked or surprised if they had a blowout quarter even in the midst of all this?
I can't see it. I can't see it. I really, I don't, maybe they could. I don't want to say not, but I just, I think they're everybody watches Amazon for their retail numbers,
the e-commerce stuff,
right? And I know those are going to not be in line. Now, if they make it up on the backside, that could be very interesting, but I can't see that equaling what they're losing on retail. However, it might equal out in terms of profitability.
Well,
know what? Here's another thing too.
Yeah.
They've very much, like we've talked about, prioritized their own stuff. Have you gone to? Here's the weird thing. Have you gone to? And I meant to talk about this last week. When you go into Amazon now, you go to Amazon.com. You notice there's no retail on the page. Have you noticed that?
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's all streaming stuff. Right.
Which kind of points to why, Microsoft Azure is up 775%. Just imagine, the streaming and, like the letting folks get access to things that were supposed to be in just going into a movie theater.
Right. So, I mean, they've moved their focus to the stream, which they kind of had to, right? Yeah. And I think also at the same time, it's for retention of Prime members to make them feel like, your Prime is giving you what you need at this time, which is more entertainment, more things to get access to. Don't forget your books that you have out, and your music. And so it's kind of interesting. It's actually giving their entertainment, which they wanted to have a boost.
Well, it makes total sense too, because not just from the retention side of the house, but for the new customer acquisition. What are people doing now? I call it Netflix and sip, because we're at home, we're watching Netflix because we're sheltering in place, so we're Netflix and sip. And why wouldn't Amazon want a part of that? So people are buying more subscriptions so they have more content to watch and listen to and read. So Amazon's doing that too.
They're not sip. They're still chill. Trust me. Matter of fact, we're probably going to have a chill generation now,
Well, no, we're going to have a shelter in place generation.
No, we're going to have a chill generation.
Well, how many new, you remember, not that you remember. Well, you're kind of old enough, you might.
I'm not.
But at the end of World War II, the baby boomer generation came about because of the end of the war, and all the servicemen came home and they wanted to get busy, and so there's that huge bump.
The chill part was getting busy.
Yeah, but now we got this
Netflix and chill. It was
but we're going to see a spike, and it's not because of chill, it's because of sip, because there's more people at home sheltering in place, not able to go out.
You don't have to change Netflix and chill to sip. It's
Netflix and sip. That's mine. Hashtag Netflix and sip. There it is. I own it. Can I get paid for that?
No, trust me.
I think so.
You ain't gonna earn a dime.
but Amazon is gonna. Amazon is getting a lot more because there's going to be more subscriptions and more content being streamed, and that's why you can almost say, okay, there's a correlation between the streaming and the subscriptions, being used and increased, because people are buying the subscriptions. I would say there's going to be a certain amount of people buying subscriptions during this period because they need content.
You know what? That would be interesting to see. I just can't see me paying that money, just for content.
Well, content may be the thing that
especially when you can't give me the other part of the promise. 1 day, 2 day shipping is dead.
Yeah, right now that is, you don't buy it, you don't do it for that. Well, right. You see like Disney Plus, their subscriptions are going crazy. I'm sure Netflix, I haven't seen any Netflix numbers, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if they're
that damn Tiger King is killing it.
Oh yeah, poor Shaq is getting killed over that for whatever reason.
Because he did a commercial. He commercials with everything.
He didn't know. I'm sure he didn't know about that was going on.
He'll do a commercial. Yeah. I mean, just y'all need to get over that.
They're trying to get him fired from the Papa John's board. I'm like, dang, really?
Man.
Anyway.
But anyway, I don't want to talk about that. Because they won't like me. They'll try to get me fired from this show after this. Like, dude,
you're already on thin ice. So
I'm already on thin ice.
It's not as cold as ice is.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
gonna have to talk to the founder. But okay, so you got anything else?
I don't know, man. That was a lot. I think we got to keep our eyes on those two, particularly the way that Amazon is, to my way of thinking, has mishandled the first strike effort here, or the first walkout effort. I just don't think they did it right now. It would be interesting to see if they learn anything from that experience and something changes in response to the Detroit walkout situation. We need to see if they learn anything from.
You just sit down and listen to what these guys are saying. I'm sure they've got ideas. Amazon has ideas, and
well, you said like one of the things they started doing is doing the taking people's temperature. That's a first step.
Yeah, it makes you feel better.
But can you see them closing a fulfillment center to do a scrub down, like a complete close down?
I mean, that was a big ask, but they could do it in sections, maybe. I don't know. That's how do you do that? I don't really know. And if that's an issue, that's a problem. So that one's a little bit. That's a little bit on the cusp there, man. Wow, if you think about it, if you really think about it,
I can't see it. I can't see it at this time. But what if they did find, like, what if there's a real hotspot, like there's several hundred folks in one fulfillment center, that then I would say they have to do it. But if it's still like one or two, couple, I just can't see it.
No, I mean, look, if that happens, that's game over. Honestly, that's a really, or that's a foul.
What about what's going on with any of the others? Are you seeing anything like with Walmart or with Target?
Walmart's had some issues. I happened to see that while we were looking through where their workers are not happy about the conditions, but not to the point where they were ready to walk out. Let me look, because I think I just did this. Walk out. Walmart workers walk out. Let's see. No walkouts for Walmart. And then let's see what they are saying for COVID-19. Walmart, because you figure it like this. If I'm Walmart, I'm jumping in right now.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm jumping in and I'm getting like, look, if you're working at Walmart, here's how great we are responding to the COVID-19. So here you do. Here, they do have like here for you on their Walmart corporate page. It tells you how they're responding to COVID-19. You know what I mean? So they've got some stuff about supporting their associates, answering questions, showing people wiping stuff down with gloves on. I mean, it's just so easy to overlook the minor stuff. But Amazon could easily do this and say, here's what we're doing to protect our workers and to protect you from COVID-19, and then just list what's going on.
There was another article that talked about a Whole Foods nationwide sick out.
Yeah,
that
was that yesterday too, right?
Yeah, that's a completely other realm, right? I mean, that's not the fulfillment center. This is Whole Food. I mean, this this could be really bad if Amazon does not address this.
Look, I'm telling you, what I'm seeing now is that Amazon, where I've been talking about how they're communicating or lack of communicating with the partners that are third-party sellers, I think they're having a communication issue all the way around. And they've never been one for great communication. See, that's the other thing. It's like in good times, when everything's going well, it's very easy to cover up areas that are not doing so well. As long as the train is moving and chugging along and everybody's getting paid fat and happy, little things like internal communication does not necessarily stick out as well. But now I think it is sticking out because we're in such a hyper information time. We're in a hyper information time. People want to know day to day almost what's going on. And for you to just be kind of like, well, we'll talk to them when we need to talk to them. And the communication is it really looks like it's coming from a computer. It doesn't have any tone of caring to it. I think that's probably what's happening on the inside. People are just a little bit freaked out. It's like, we work with you. Why are you not talking to us?
And the other thing I think right now, like fulfillment center workers, employees at Whole Foods, supermarkets, they are all considered essential employees now. Maybe that before that they weren't viewed like that, but now they are. And because of that status, there's more focus on what's going on now. And maybe they were able to, like you said, maybe their way of communicating, they could get away with, good, bad, or indifferent. But this is a different story. We're talking about people that we all need now to get the stuff we need in order to fight this pandemic. So if you want us to shelter in place, we have to feel comfortable about being able to get the stuff we need delivered, or you're going to cause even more of a panic.
But even more of a panic. I'll give you a couple updates on the third party side.
All right.
We did get a notification. They did send out a notification, rather, that they're extending the date to the 20th of April. Actually, no, they didn't tell you when they were going to extend it to.
Oh, they said they were going to extend it.
Yeah, it's indefinite now. So that means no incoming other than essentials. Weird, but okay, I get it. But now at this point, my question is, okay, well, whenever the date comes, what's it going to be like? The backlog of trying to get everybody's stuff in to the warehouse is going to be insane.
Another question I would ask too, are third-party sellers, are they eligible for these government checks that are going to be coming out?
Yes, and yes. If you are a seller on any platform, on the e-commerce, and you've seen an impact, you need to go to sba.gov and get that information, start filling out your application. I've already done our application for here, but yeah, if you are a gig worker, you qualify. So go out there, take a look, start reading through. Don't wait on your bank to tell you information. They don't know anything. They really don't. I mean, because this is just so brand new. But start looking out there at the information. There are people that are good. Might talk to your CPA. They might know some things. But like I said, it's rolling. It's in flux. So just check that out. But yes,
I'm glad to hear that. The sellers, they're taking a bath just like everybody else is. So
yep. Because I think a lot of us at sellers were kind of like, okay, well, this will pass, and we can deal with this for a month or so, but now it's looking like it's going to be a minute.
It is.
It is looking that way, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But hey, this is our first Wednesday at 1.
Wednesday at 1, we're going to be doing this, and we're going to have some really great content.
I mean, look, every week there is something, multiple somethings usually. And just like this conversation, a lot of them are starting to connect the dots here.
Yeah.
And
so there's going to be announcements for, like you said, quarterly results are coming out. So
yeah, that should be. Hopefully, I'll be out by next week.
Yeah, we're gonna go line by line through that.
Yeah, we got to go through that one because I'm sure there's going to be some interesting things to come out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
all right.
Until said time.
See you next week.
All right, see you next week, buddy. Peace. Stop this crazy thing.